live on the Golden Square Podcast.
Ooh, this is Linda. This is Barry. And when you come to the round table, you square off with the girl. Square
Hey, everybody. Hey. So listen, I sent a message out to the earth, to the moon, to Venus, to everywhere. If anybody's seen Barry, tell him to get himself here. All right. So as you can see, I'm here by myself only because Mr. Barry Barnes is away. And there's some things going on, and he had to be there, and he wouldn't even take me. But y'all always heard him say, I love her. I'll be anywhere she wants me to be. But on the real key of it, he's out and he's handling some very important business. So wish him well. And we'll tell you about it at the end of the show. So there's a lot that's going on. I'm so spoiled. I had to do everything today. Everything. I had to get my own drink. I had to put all this stuff together, and I was biting my fingers like, oh my God, if he's somewhere looking and things are not right, he's going to kill me when he get back. But I think I did well. So what do you think? So be on my side and help me out a little bit. But with all that being said, we do have a special guest, and this guy to me is like a brother. How many brothers can I have, right? A lot of them. But it's a, what word am I looking for? It's such a pleasure and an honor to be able to sit across from him. He's in one place, I'm in another. So we are across from each other, and be able to introduce you all to this great man of God, my friend, Mr. Dozell Varner.
Hello, sis.
Hey, buddy. Hey.
How you doing?
I'm feeling well. The question is, how are you doing?
I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it.
Of course. So listen, as you see, Barry is not here. Barry has some issues that he had to take care of, but he will be back soon. So if he make it before the show is over, great. If he don't, it's still great. We miss him, or I miss him, because there's no one to lean on me or anything. But that's my boy. I love him and I do miss him. So Reb, can I say Reb?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I want everyone to know a little about you, because you wear so many hats. You're a husband, you're a father, you're a grandfather, speech communication, pastor, former police officer, retired teacher. You act like you know how to play golf. You're a football coach for high school. Man, I don't know. So you tell the people what you want them to know, because I got some stuff that I want them to know about you as well.
Well, I've been in ministry for, is it 50 years? 50 years, I think. T.D. Jakes and I are about the same age. We've been in ministry about the same time, and he almost preaches as well as I do. I was a preacher before I became a policeman. I served 7 years as a policeman in Central Florida. Left and went to seminary. Was called to a church near Chicago, which turned out to be a blessing. I was near one of the greatest cities in the world. And then we were called to come down to serve as an assistant pastor of a 5,000 member church here when I came here, Mount Bethel in Fort Lauderdale. And after I got here, I let my cousins and some others talk me into something that nobody has been able to do in 50 some years. They talked me into starting a ministry. So we started a ministry in Dania Beach, and we have now been around for some 23 plus years. And we're New Life, the church without walls. And I had to pick up a job so that I could eat when I started that venture. And I ended up retiring as a teacher in 2020. So it's been real. I do democracy work with the group called Faith in Florida. So we register people to vote. We build teams for democracy and the like. So it's been a good journey.
So let me ask this question because I've been dying to ask you this. What is the vision behind New Life, the Church Without Walls? I've heard of Church Without Walls, but New Life Church Without Walls. What is that vision about?
Well, we actually were, of course, we named ourselves after the Church Without Walls, which was Brook Hollow out in Houston, my friend, well, Rep West. And when we were looking for a name for the church, and we liked New Life, and we got Walls. We were in a location for about 17, 18 years, and the pandemic struck, and the room was small. A lot of us are senior in our age chronologically, so we went virtual, straight virtual for a few years, and then we started meeting bi-weekly. And when we do that now, we meet at a hotel in Plantation, and we meet every other week in person. And so that's been a good formula for us. So the vision is we don't have walls, we don't have a building. The idea is we're supposed to minister out in the community. And for several years until last year, some medication and stuff kind of slowed me down a bit. But I had extensive work with the unhoused community in Fort Lauderdale, which was extremely fulfilling. And of course, you mentioned it, for about 21 years, I helped the guy get a job as a football coach, and he brought me on as a chaplain. I ended up being a coach. Then another guy brought me on, so I've been coaching now. I'm trying to get this last year out of the way. Health is kind of prohibiting me, but I may have already done it. I don't know, but it was great seeing some of my kids go to school. Some of them in the NFL right now, and that's what it was all about.
Good. So, in these days, the modern churches now, what do you think, or what do you think would happen, or how do we reach the young kids today, and to bring them into the church, Rev?
So, Ms. Linda, we have to go and not be so spiritual and so holy that we can't meet our young people where they are. They may not be tongue speaking. They may not know how to dance in the spirit. They may not have come to some of these levels of spiritual attainment. And we have to meet them right where they are, real and raw, and meet them there and disciple them, wrap our arms around them and say, let's take this journey together, little brother, little sister. And let's do this together. And that's what we have to do, because the church is going to fall off if we don't, because that generation is not coming into the brick and mortar church as you and I knew we had to.
Right. So when you say we have to meet them right where they are, and I heard you say raw and uncut, unfiltered. How do we do that? How do we do that?
Well, we have to make up in our minds that they're going to say some things that our ears can't be too virgin to hear. They're going to express some things. They're not going to always know how to say yes, ma'am, no, sir. This is a new generation, and we have to accept that and build relationships with them. And in so doing, they'll come around and do some of these things that will make life better for them. Those mere words open so many doors for our kids when they were growing up. The kids, teachers and community leaders that didn't know anything about them, or didn't know their character, didn't know their heritage. The mere fact that they addressed them as sir and ma'am opened doors and gave them favor, that they would have to really mess up to not take the advantage of it. And so that's, I know we don't expect kids to do that. They may not do that today, but that's all right. We have to just meet them where they are. If they call me Dozell, I have to live with that.
You can. Because Okay, with that now, that part, I'm much rather them call you coach. I'm not tickled about Ms. or Mister, but some type of handle on your name. So you have plenty hats and plenty experience that I think your mannerism will automatically have them calling you coach. What we forget, me and you, people our age and older, and shall we say our peers, is that one day yesterday was these kids,
That's right.
but for whatever reason we forget that, and it's all high up on the piano. They ain't on a metal stone. They up on the piano somewhere, sitting there thinking, "Well, you better call me Miss Linda, or you better call me whatever." You know,
Yeah.
I
Well,
feel some kind of way when I don't see that for other people. Now, I'm only speaking for you because I'm going to respect you until we get behind closed doors. Then me and you can say whatever. But out in the public, I will always respect you. That's the main thing.
well, we win their respect. We
Yeah.
respect is not always as because we live in a different age.
Yes.
When we were growing up, it was we came to the table with respect for our elders.
Right.
That may not be at the same level now with this generation towards us, but it is. I can tell you from experience, it's very easy to gain their respect. And when
It
you
is.
gain their respect, you got somebody who who looks up to you and admires you more than you could have ever asked. But then you have a part. You have to walk circumspectly in front of them. You have to be real with them. That's the main thing. If you have to be real, you have to
So,
be real.
but I know you were a minister before you were police, correct? Or you were the police before you were
I was a minister first.
minister first. So you left, not left. So in being the minister and being the law enforcement, um, how do I want to? What's the misconception that people would think will have between the law and church, or I say law and faith?
Well, so I'm from Jacksonville, and there were several pastors that were policemen. There was a very prominent pastor. I remember him like yesterday, Pastor Barker, who was excuse me, he was a pretty young guy. He was in his probably mid-30s when he was at the zenith of his uh, popular, popularity in Jacksonville, and he pastored a significantly sized church. And then he was a policeman. Sometimes I see him playing the organ with his uniform on. He comes straight from work, and he kind of like was a role model to say that just because that uniform does not have to be a barrier. It should be an extension of a minister because you're there to help. Romans chapter 13 speaks of government officials and the higher powers, being subject to not. I don't mean laying down but I mean having a level of respect for whom God has set up to be in government. And if you carry yourself, I was young when I was a policeman, so I'm not going to say I was not mistake free, but if you carry yourself, the two jobs, nobody can say, well, I thought he was a preacher.
Right.
You carry yourself right, and you treat the thing and I think my color, and growing up in Jacksonville, where racism was right in your face,
Mm-hmm.
you knew, well, I'm going to treat people fairly. They're going to get the full benefit of the doubt. Now, they want to act the idiot. That's going to be on them, but they're not. I'm not going to precipitate that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. I I admire police officers who believe in their faith and not only that uniform that they have on, because you do have those who, this is the uniform, this is who I am, and they forget about the faith because on the average, your peers, and they mostly was in church first before they became police officers, and then they forget that they was brought up in the church and how to um, speak to the community. So I commend you for having a role model to, or either following up behind someone else who was great as that pastor was with you guys. So um, I know in the school system now they have all the different. I don't know. I can't say I know that now because I'm not sure. They done took away so many things, so many programs, but they did have police officers, police programs, and firefighters, and the military programs in the schools. So, as a retired educator, what do you believe is the greatest challenge facing our students today?
I think possibly, and I don't want to be guilty of taking our dear young people wrong, but I think the attention span when I left the school system, and I wish I had started in high school. I may even, well, God knew the path that I needed to be on, but I may have even still been in the system had I started in high school. But there's a level of recalcitrance of our young people that, I mean, you really got to dig deep to get them to get to care about the things that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've gone back after retiring. I've had an end because of my relationship with several schools as a coach. I've been able to go in and do democracy work. And I tell you, Ms. Lynn, if you don't get these kids' attention in the first 15, 20 seconds, they're scrolling on their phone. So you gotta get them right away. And I give you an example if I got time to do this.
Sure.
Well, there was after ICE first came down when this new administration came in 2025, probably 6 weeks after coming in. So I'm sliding along. The kids these are kids that didn't dress out, so they're sitting in the gym in the weight room, just kind of watching and hanging out for a couple of hours while the other kids are doing their stretches and everything. And I'm just sliding along because once I get my big butt down there, it's hard to get up. So I'm sliding along, registering kids to vote. And I registered this. I mean, I went to this little Hispanic brother. He said, "Coach, I registered last year." I said, "You did? Did you vote?" He was so excited. "Yes, Coach, I just did make it to vote in the presidential election." So, okay, I said, "Great." So a young lady that I went to said, "Coach, did you hear about Ivan's story?" I said, "No, I didn't." And she went on to say that last week he was late. So Ivan at this time joined in the conversation. He was late because his mother is bilingual and he was trying to help her with some things, language barrier, and he was late to school, so he didn't ride the bus. So he walked to school. And right across the street from the high school, ICE picked him up.
Wow.
And if you'll remember when they first started picking people up, they were shipping them out of the country right away.
Yes.
And they picked him up. And so one of his teachers said, "Well, where's Ivan?" And they said, I don't know, because he never misses school. So the teacher called his mother, and his mother said, "Oh my God, she should have been in school. He should have been in your class." So the kids say, "You know what?" They said to the teacher, "You know what? ICE was out there. We knew that was them. They were around the border of the schools. And I bet they picked him up because he wasn't in a group. He walked and he was by himself." And sure enough, the mother called the father. The father called to the Miami Reception Center, and he was an hour from being shipped out of the country.
What?
His dad went down there and verified him. So I slide down, and Ivan and the young lady tell me this story, and I'm like, this is so real. And then I slide down to this black kid, and I say, hey, Larry, Did I register? He said, Coach, you know you registered me last year. He said, Coach, I voted. And when he said I voted, he looked at me. The grin was all over his face that he made a bad vote. And I say, listen, man, did you hear what happened to Ivan last week? And when I told him, the kid just looked like he just melted in his skin. So, trying to get a group of kids who may not have gone through what you and I went through as far
Right.
as relations, and letting them know, hey, man, this is real. This is nothing that the books are just lying about. We lived this stuff in the 60s. We actually lived it. And we can't be enamored with somebody because they bring a few rappers to the White House or something like that. We got to go deep down and make real and logical choices. So getting our kids to be focused on what's real, that is the challenge of our day. That's our challenge.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay. So while Miss Linda is taking care of that business, I just wanted to tell you how grateful I am to be here today, and I love the rebooted Golden Square podcast. We both rebooted our podcasts at about the same times, and I'm just their entry, their intro is just fantastic. I'm just booting you up, Miss Linda.
Well, we all have situations going on, but since you said that, and well, let me finish where we were going, because y'all, my child came home early, so he forgot that his mom would do his podcast on this day. So it's okay. But I had a question pertaining to what you were just saying. So, what type of advice would you give to those other young kids how to use their voice and the confidence and the purpose of what we're going through right now? Because knowing that their friend got picked up by ICE, what advice would you give to them?
That we're living in real times. This is not a play world. It's not a world where we're going to be treated fairly. It's not a world where you're dealing even under you're being dealt with evenly. It's a world where we're being dealt with under the deck. We're behind the scale, and we can't make any mistakes, and we've got to be serious and focused. And maybe that's asking a bit for young people who have never experienced that or had to live with or through that. But that's where we really have to be. And that's where one of the challenges lies.
Wow.
We don't give up. We don't get. I work with Pastor Rhonda Thomas, and she's a great advocate for our young people. She tell me, you got to be ready to let them be themselves.
Yeah.
And put your holy ear down and don't worry. I'm on the football field, so I'm already used to that. But you got to meet these young people where they are, and that's true, because they don't relate. They never saw the marble water fountains that said color. That was real to us. We saw it.
Right. Wow.
We saw the fights when busing started. Busing was about getting busted in the mouth if he's on the wrong location.
Exactly, on the wrong. So we've had to do some of the things that I see out now is the other people using the N words and talking down to our grandfathers. I don't even think I've ever heard it. I heard it one time spoken to my father, and right then made me say, okay, you call me, I'm going at you just like I saw my dad. But these kids nowadays are experiencing what our grandparents did, with the people calling them the N words, with the men, boys be calling, the men been calling boy, and they put that emphasis on boy when they, speak to a black man, and it's so hard to not think back where we came from, but how could we do it without the violence? Do you see a way out?
You know, so a sad case is, and you're the one who informed me of the Wells kid, Nolan Wells, the
Yes.
tragedy. I've seen both sides of that. I've actually seen both sides of that. I've seen one of the kids. I don't know if you saw him. A black retired police officer has interviewed one of those kids that were on the boat. And if you listen to that kid's interview, he sound as innocent as the driven snow, and it really seemed genuine.
Mm-hmm.
But there are too many questions that's unanswered.
Right.
And the one thing that I did not want to see was a lot of your and my generation was coming down on his parents, saying they should have known those kids better before they trusted him to get on a boat and ride to an island and then ride back. Well, these are generational differences that it's easy to say that, because in our day that didn't happen. You didn't stay over at people's houses. That, sometimes they meet you, like your parents say, you stay with mine, but you're not going over there and stay over.
Exactly.
You got kids, and they say, well, how they let him go with these kids that these are white brothers? Well, they do football camps. They stay in football camps all over the state. They do 7-on-7 camps all over the state. They stay together all the time. So that's not we can't put a guilt trip on those parents, because this is a sign of the times. Now, whatever happened, whatever went wrong, if something went south with those kids, with him, prayerfully it'll come out at some point. But
yeah,
I don't want to see those parents under a guilt trip.
Well, how? Okay, so I'm with you. We cannot hold the parent to a guilt, because as soon as I heard about that incident, it touches me, because my boys, and I said the same thing. No, you can't spend the night with nobody. They can come over here if you want to. But my grandson, one of my grandsons, and if you live in Boca, or in South Florida, you know about Boca Raton. So one of my grandsons was well known in that community, and he will always be the only one. And I always said to him, be careful. Be careful. Not that it's the kids, because we have to understand that kids are taught hate. They are not born hating nobody. But did the parents of whoever, I'll just say me, do the parents of me knowing you, do I know you well enough for my child to stay over to your house? Do I know you well enough for my child to go out on a boat with you? So all of those, when that incident happened, that took me back, and I immediately came back to my grandson and told him, listen, you need to sit down and ask God, why were you spared? What was the purpose that he spared your life? Because that could have been you. So we have to stop and talk to our kids, which we don't. We just say, okay, and I'm sure you guys have the camp. I've had basketball camps. I've had softball camps. I've had those camps. But I want to know who the parents are.
Yeah.
You don't have the parents that show up for things. How do you know who the other parents are? So we can't, we got to stop saying they shouldn't have let this happen. They shouldn't have let that happen. Walk into their shoes, and then you go back and say, yeah, you shouldn't have did that, or you shouldn't have did this. So that's something that we have to come back to. And I ain't gonna say I'm sure, but for my family, my family had that Sunday dinner, and we sit and we talk. One thing that my parents told us when we were small, that if we got away with it during the week, we could tell it on Sunday, we got away with it. But this is how dumb we were. not knowing that we got away with it, that we was gonna do it again, and they knew it. They knew we were gonna do it again, and we was gonna get busted. They already we done told how we did it, and they're gonna be crazy, and they're gonna do it again, and you get busted. So, but we don't have that sit down and talk anymore. Relationships with not only just our kids, with our spouses, our partners. We don't sit and talk to. So we have to bring that back into play for everything.
I mean, that's a crucial point, because I know she would probably be upset if I said so. Sometimes we sit down to dinner and we got our devices out, and I'm like, man, put that down. We may answer an emergency. This is our time, and that's what it has come to. You don't have gathered. We don't gather around the table like we used to, because it's gather around your device, and you're sitting in a room, but you're listening to social media, and your spouse, your child is here doing their own thing. So it's I appreciate Pastor Rhonda's emphasis, and it just keeps it ever in front of us. Don't ever forsake these kids. Don't ever write them off. We don't have the right to do that. We were left here to help them, but it is extremely challenging sometimes. We have to find ways to relate to them. So I was, for a season, I was a PE coach in elementary school, where I was a strict disciplinarian. The kids marched in order, and everything was almost like Marine Corps discipline, because that's how I kept the issues from arising. But when I went over to Plantation, to that football field, the kids who were just slightly older, it was a different. They saw a different. It was a different me. I'm your encourager. I'm not here to beat you down, talk you out. Very rarely am I going to raise my voice at a kid. I'm going to get up close to him and say, "Hey, man, that was what you should have done." And there's an appreciation. There comes a time that you have to be stronger, but there's an appreciation because kids want to be respected too. That's the bottom line.
So Rhea, what about what's your input on mental behavior with our young kids? Because back then when we was crazy, our parents said we was crazy, and they beat it out of us. But nowadays it's, oh, well, he has a mental problem, or mental is this. And so your opinion, is mental real? That's the question.
Well, I think, and I know you would be creative enough to know how to do this in this era where you can't really do not capital, Lord forgive me, corporal punishment with kids, where you put that belt on them.
Right.
You have to hit them where it hurts. You're looking forward to going out with Janie this weekend. Well, you ain't doing it this weekend, boss. You're gonna be here this weekend. You gonna act the fool. So till you think and get your head straight, that's what's gonna happen. That's what you always have to be a step ahead of the kids mentally, because remember, God put us here before them to guide them.
Right.
And so we have to be a step ahead of them, because they think they know everything, because we thought we knew everything.
Exactly. But when you say you have to get your head straight, how do you guide that? How do you fix that? How do you say, okay, Dad, my head is straight now? How do you handle that?
Well, I think sometimes, we can listen. So this is a tough thing for me, because I still have a hard time with kids that are disrespectful. And I see it, sometimes you even see it in your own family. And you look and you like, dang, my kid allowed their kid to act like that. They know they never could have acted like that.
Right.
So you have to hit them where it hurts. You can't get a hold of that butt like you like to, but there's always something that they want to do, or they don't want to do,
or they want you to purchase.
They want you. There's always going to be something.
Yeah.
And we just have to be We have to be mature enough to spot those things out. And man, I don't mind. I don't like holding back on a kid or having to be harsh with a kid. But then you have to know that it's for that kid's own good.
Good. Hmm. So can I go over a little bit and ask the question in reference to men health? Can we dabble in that a little bit? What do you think?
Absolutely.
Okay, so um, I've had a couple of friends with prostate cancer, and men to me are big babies anyway. All right, so that's all I'm saying. Now I ain't saying nothing else. That was your look, but um, what what advice? Because we as women always, or most of us, always saying, "Well, hey, go have your self check."
Yeah.
What advice do you give young men?
Well, you cannot be black and not be cancer screened regularly.
Mm-hmm.
I am a prostate cancer survivor since
Mm-hmm.
I think 2008. I'm dealing with challenging numbers now, trying to raise up, and mids are trying to fight them back. Um, but the first time my numbers were high, I was discovered to have an enlarged prostate. I think I
Mm-hmm.
was early 50s, maybe. And
Okay.
that's when they started advising me, and especially if it's in your family. Then, so my son needs to be getting checked out when he's in his mid 40s. And and then the next time, 5 years later, I went, and the doctor said, I'm glad to see you finally came in and you haven't been in here for a while. And she did my PSA and it was high. And I went to a urologist, and this time it was hot for prostate cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I was devastated.
Right.
Went through a myriad of treatments, um, and it was been dormant for about, I guess, about 10, 11 years. I did the Lupron shots every quarter, and I held my breath that the PSA was still in check. And the last couple of years, it's been a little bit more challenging, and they've stepped up treatments. But we cannot afford not to be checked. Yeah, is it uncomfortable? I did radiation. Radiation itself did not hurt at all, but the
Mm-hmm.
preparation for radiation is a little bit challenging for us, but it's the choices you have to make. Do you want to live or you don't? A lot of men, your sexuality is challenged oft times. Uh, you have to make up your mind. Do you want to live or do you want to, whatever? So
Mm-hmm.
we have to make mature decisions and choose to live and do what needs to get the check. It's nothing, nobody is effeminate because there's a digital check, none of that stuff. Get checked and be safe, be secure. And if you're not safe, then start the treatment. That's what I say.
So what made you say, okay, I'm going in to get this check now? Because are there any signs that said, okay, so I'm hurting here, or I, I I don't know. I don't have nothing down there to compare, but what made you?
Well, again, I think it was 2008 when I was first diagnosed.
Yeah.
Um, my sternum bone in my chest was protruding, and I
Mm.
went to the doctor for that. And she called back and said, "You need to come back next week, and you need to bring your wife back." And
Ooh.
I'm thinking, "Oh Lord, I got to have surgery." I'm already thinking maybe I
Yes.
can move my office downstairs and all this stuff.
Yes.
And she told me it was my PSA. And then I said, "Oh, okay, it was high 5 years ago. I'm not worried about that." And when the doctor sat me down and told me that it was truly, prostate cancer, I was
Mm.
devastated for a season. And support. My wife was so supportive. She is still
Mhm.
so supportive,
Yes.
so supportive, and that
So
makes
what is
every
the PSA, Rep?
repeat, please.
What is the PSA for those who don't know?
Don't ask me what it stands for, but I know it's a recording of your the level of cancer in your prostate. It's the numbers. And as the numbers go up, that's the indication that the cancer is,
So the higher the number,
that number should be really a point something. It shouldn't be a 1, but once it gets beyond a 3 or 4, doctors start really monitoring it.
Okay. Wow.
I don't know if you can see the screen, but it's a prostate specific antigen, I believe. That's how you pronounce that.
Okay. Thank you. We got the best producer, man. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
What was that about the estrogen now? What did she say about the estrogen?
It said it was a prostate specific antigen. That's what.
Okay. That's what the PSA stands for. Okay. All these years I've been just knowing. Every time I go to the doctor, I'm praying that PSA is low. I never even bothered to know what the.
So it doesn't matter what the name of it is. Just make sure it's low. So,
keep it low. Keep it on the low.
So in that, how do you feel? How do you feel?
Well, like I said, I have been diagnosed since 2008. I have never had any symptoms of the prostate cancer that I could recognize. It's always been the treatment that has floored me. Last year, they had me on a treatment plan that zombied me out for the better part of 8 months. And I did the proton therapy, I did the radiation, 60 some radiation treatments, 30 some proton therapy, which is a real unique innovation. They put you on a stretcher and they roll you out like in an abyss. You're out in the midst of, you're suspended in the air, and all of this ground is below you. And there are proton beams that come through lasers that go into your prostate gland. And so I did 60 radiation and 30 proton therapy. And then for about 6 months, we thought it was over. And then about 7-8 months, the numbers slowly started creeping and rising. So the doctors in Jacksonville told me to see an oncologist. And oncologist put me on a shot, which is Lupron, that you take quarterly. And I had a friend who was born with cancer, and he had Lupron at the end of his life. And so the Lupron usually has about he was born with cancer. They took his muscles out at birth. It was something that I never. He was the sweetest soul in the world. Nice, tough as nails, and a nice guy. And I know he was doing a Lupron shot for a season, and so I'm still doing that. That has usually about a 10-year effective window of effectiveness, and it kind of it reaches its limit. So now he's going to other treatments that I've done in the last 2 years.
Yes. Wow. This, me and you have been going at it for a minute, and I wanted to talk to you about sports, about the golf game, because you go out there and play.
Before y'all go there, we have some questions from the audience. We have some comments. And yeah, some relating to this topic of cancer. Yeah, CTG 2500 asks, what was your diet like over the decades? Great question.
Yeah, it's a convicting question because I inherit the taste for steaks like from my dad, and I've eaten my share of steaks and pretty much have eaten what I wanted to eat. And whereas diet does contribute to, if you're dealing with the cancer, it can contribute to it. But 1 out of 4 Black males is going to have prostate cancer in their life. That's a startling statistic. 1 out of 4. I don't know about breast cancer, but 1 out of 4 Black males. taller individuals suffer with it often. So it was, yeah. So
That's what you said at the end. Taller. So the taller you are, ooh. All right, I just shrunk, but I ain't a man. But my boys. Let me bring them down. But I didn't know that. So do you think?
Bill Walden, the basketball player, died like
Yes.
2 years ago from prostate cancer.
Wow.
So,
And then the previous subject you all were discussing, Shannon asked, do you think times have changed or have people changed?
That's a good question, Reverend. That's for you.
You mean in regards to what we're saying about the young people? Well, times have changed.
Right.
Times have changed. You know, interracial dating. When we were in high school, and I don't know what it was like down here, but I grew up in Jacksonville. Jacksonville was like the South. It was like being in Alabama almost.
Right.
Race relations.
Because you're that close to Alabama and Jacksonville.
Well, you're coastal, but yeah, ideologically you were. You know, your dad had to warn you. You know, be careful that none of these white girls accuse you of, you know, that you got too out of hand with them. When you spoke, you know, boys gonna be boys, and you have to be careful with that sake with that for girls. You know, unfortunately, and in this day, that's not an issue. I mean, it's not. Everybody doesn't readily accept it, but that's not an issue today. So yes, times have changed.
But time has changed, and people have changed as well.
Yeah.
Right, because we the people have allowed different things to take place. Whereas yesterday, as you stated about, you know, interracial dating, we say, okay, yeah, well, that's fine. Love who your heart say love. So time have changed and people have changed. You have any more, Madam Producer?
Well, I'll say that people are definitely wanting to know, what do you think that question is? They want to know, where is Barry? Everyone's asking.
Where is Barry? Where is Barry? Let me just say this to all of you who are concerned about where Barry is. Barry is in need of your prayer. He has an emergency family member that really needs all of your prayers. So just extend that. If you just call out his name, you don't need to know what's the issue, but just submit him to God and allow God to use Barry in whatever capacity that he's going to use him this evening. So just send up a good prayer. So you know he has to be somewhere such as that and not to be here, because this is what he loves. So, and this is what he loves, and this is who we love him. So just keep him in your prayers. And when he come back and he feels the urge to say what took place, he will. I'm sure you guys know Barry, he will. But that's where Barry is. He's somewhere praying that you all are praying for him and his situation with his family members.
Amen.
And
sending prayers to Barry. Yes.
Amen. And we just want to acknowledge definitely our super fan, if you want to call that. She's always here. So we want to say thank you, Alice, for being here. She's just been encouraging. She remembers you from Mount Bethel, Big.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it?
Alice Bell. The twins. That's what everybody know about, the twins.
Okay. I can't even fake it. I probably would need to see her, but okay.
Thank you, Alice.
Yeah. So that's a lot. So you know that Barry's not here. So that on that right there, I can't even read. It's so tiny, like ants moving. So somebody said, "Hey, Reb," I saw that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And Alice mentioned she loves your outfit, and thank you all for everybody that's helpful when you talk back to us. So thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I will make sure. And that's one of the reasons why I was asking you about men's health, Reb, because our men are dying and leaving us by ourselves because they're not going to get checked. So that's why I want to know, what do we see as a woman to say, hey, honey, I need you to go get checked, even though we need to have them to go get checked. But what is a sign of something that we could say, hey, we know something is going wrong?
As I've said, I've never had one physical sign in 20 some years of carrying this illness that I've had it. Now, recently I've had a little pain in my lower back, and I understand it possibly that can be a lesion that's causing that. But that, I'm athletics. I'm so athletic that could be, from golf or whatever.
Golf, out there with the kids.
Yeah. But but the medicine has kind of stymied me. I haven't been able to finish. I want to do one more year with the kids, and the medicine has stymied me from doing that. I was hoping to get out this year. That's still in the air. But one thing women can do is just be a moral support. My wife said some things to me 20 some years ago that will stick with me always. She said, "Listen, you and I can sit down and watch a movie and just enjoy each other's company. Forget all the other stuff. Forget all the other ramifications of a relationship." And that meant the world to me, because that's one of the things that men deal with a lot. Most men don't want to deal with surgeries, because that pretty much, reduces them, intimately, and they don't want to deal with some of the various treatments. And the bottom line is to be here. You can fight for that stuff later. There are all
But
kinds.
And I'm glad that your wife made that statement to you, because men need to know it's not all about the sexual whatever. It's the intimacy that you give us. If you just, as she's saying, sitting there watching the movie, or we just sitting there holding hands, or you just sitting tickling my feet, those are things that mean the most to us. You rubbing my back, you rubbing my head. It's not always, let me lay you on your back. That's what men have to, and that's my opinion. That's what men have to learn to do. That's what you got to do. That's it.
Many men feel robbed to lose their libido. I think they feel robbed and feel less than. And I had an aunt that had a hysterectomy pretty young in age, and she said, "Listen, I'm all right. I'm good. Things are not the same, but I'm fine." And we have to understand that it's more. I have 12. We have 3 children and 12 grandchildren, 2 son-in-laws and 1 daughter-in-law. It's more important that I'm with them than being, macho man.
Right.
So, and I'm not conceding anything. I don't want y'all to misunderstand that. But I know what's the priority, and the priority is to be here. Right.
So a question was asked: what is the age that you recommend, or the recommendation out there for men to be checked?
I think medically is 45, beginning at age 45.
Mm-hmm.
And you go and you do the blood test. That's where they measure the PSA, and then the doctor does a digital test to also kind of get an idea as to if there are any tumors or any lesions present in the prostate gland. So we have to be willing to do that, man. I know when I was a kid in playing football in Jacksonville, the doctor they used to come to the school and do the physical, and you just line up, and they did that. And everybody thought that was so funny, but it ain't funny, 50 years later when you understand what that was all about.
Exactly. So 45 is for prostate, but I say once a man, they say you 18, you become a man, which we know you're not. But when you make that 20, 21, 25, that's when you need to start checking yourself. Men and women, not just the men, but men and women. But for a man, because you guys don't want to go to the doctor enough, I need more men to have the knowledge of, I want to be here. I don't want to leave my family. And not when I don't have to, because I know we all have a time, but if I can go and check and have myself taken care of, then there is an extension. So I say that to all men. And I had one question that I wanted to ask before we left, and it was dealing with the calling.
Yes, ma'am.
So what message would you give to someone who's called to serve, but doesn't know how to go about it?
So to be sure, we're all called to serve. That's why we left here after salvation. But if you mean specifically ministering, I would say go in and sit down. If you have a pastor, go sit down with your pastor. I was a part of a church that had a lot of young men were called, and we were all called off the church basketball team. We had a basketball team that won the church league and the city league every year. And invariably, you see somebody get called off that basketball. You knew next year, God gonna call somebody else. And when I went to talk to my preacher, my pastor, he said, what if your daddy said you can't preach? Because my dad was real tough like yours. I said, well, I guess I'll have to get out the house. And so he started right then and there preparing me for my initial sermon. So yeah, you have to have that minister that you can go to that can relate to you and kind of walk you through the process.
That was a great answer, though. That was a great answer. And it's like, oh, now did I just say that?
Don't tell him I said that, but yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and get out. But no, that was just answering the question. I was just answering his question, Yeah, that was a good question. Yes, it was. Was that Ramona? Y'all know I can't see, but that was a great answer. A great answer. So I say, as he just stated, go to your pastor when you know you've been called to serve. And whatever, as he said, we're all called to do something. Yes. And whatever that service is, depending if it's ministry, if it's coaching kids, whatever it is, go to the Father and ask for advice. And he won't mislead you, period. So with my 2 cents that I know Barry would be saying if he was here, say it. So we would like for you all to like, share, and subscribe. But tonight, not only would I like for you to like, share, and subscribe, I want you to also keep Mr. Barry Bonds in your prayers. Him and his family needs you right about now. I cannot say that enough. So like, share, and subscribe, and keep Mr. Barnes in your prayers. And Reb, is there any way that, or any message that you want to leave with our viewers?
I just want to just speak Godspeed to Barry and his family, and ask God to just use him to be a blessing to his family as they need God's intervention in their lives right now.
Okay, so if that's it, anybody else have anything they want to say? Y'all want to dance? You want to dance? I want to dance with you. I want to dance. Okay, so we'll see you. Go ahead, Toya.
Yeah, big remind them about the event that's coming up. This is important.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very kindly.
Monday night too, big.
Ma'am?
I say, and we're reminding them to dial out with Dozie every Monday at 8:00 Eastern time.
Yes. So thank you, ma'am. The dialogue is on a 2-week hiatus because we're doing, you heard me mention earlier that I do democracy work. Faith in Florida they've done the Florida U.S. senatorial race forum. And on this upcoming Monday, the 27th, they're doing the gubernatorial race forum. And we're hoping to attract Republican candidates who have not been participating because they have not been coming to Broward County or Palm Beach County because they think those are Democratic strongholds and it's a waste of their times. So this is a virtual forum. And as you see, you can scan the QR code and register. You have to register. It's on Zoom. It's a webinar. You have to register to attend. And we're hoping that you would indeed register to attend. And then the dialogue will be back on week after next.
Good job. Good job. So thank you, everybody, for taking out your busy schedules. Me and Barry when he comes back. Y'all know I can't say it without him. So I again thank you so very much, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Good night.
Good night.